Hi guys, it's Daryl and welcome back to Hype Word. If you're new here, I talk about all things books, specifically sci-fi and fantasy and sometimes horror. If that's your thing, please hit the subscribe button. Today I'll be looking at 10 ways The Man in the High Castle book is different to the TV show. And just so you guys know, there will be spoilers ahead. I recently finished season 3 of Amazon's version of The Man in the High Castle, and it got me thinking about the differences between the book and the TV show, and just how true the TV show is to the book. So let's take a look. That was a rhyme. What could be described as the ultimate dystopia, Philip K. Dick's acclaimed cult novel gives us a horrifying glimpse of an alternate reality, one where the Allies have lost the Second World War. In this nightmare dystopia, Nazis have taken over New York, the Japanese control California, and the African continent is virtually wiped out. In a neutral buffer zone in America, dividing the world's new rival superpowers, lives the author of an underground bestseller. His book offers a new vision of reality, an alternative theory of world history in which the Nazis and the Japanese were defeated, giving hope to the disenchanted. Number 1 is The Grasshopper Lies Heavy. In Dick's book, the characters read a novel within a novel. This novel is called The Grasshopper Lies Heavy, which offers an alternate history depicting our reality, as in the world where the Nazis lost the Second World War. In the TV show, however, this book is replaced by a film reel depicting realistic news footage of an America free of the Nazi occupation. This difference seems to make sense, as when you're reading the book about them reading the book, there's this idea that as you're reading about them, they could be reading about you. So there's this kind of mirror thing happening. So we get the same with the TV show. As you're watching a TV show about them, could they be watching a film reel about you? The second difference is Juliana and Frank are divorced. In Amazon's TV adaptation, Juliana and Frank are together, they're engaged to be married, and they both live in San Francisco. In the book, however, Juliana and Frank are divorced. Juliana already lives in the neutral zone, where she seems to wander aimlessly. Another difference around Juliana is that in the TV show, her actions are spurred on by her sister's death, which in the book doesn't happen at all. In fact, her sister doesn't even exist. Her inciting incident is that she meets Joe Blake, who in the book is called Joe Cinderella, when he allows her to read his copy of The Grasshopper. It's also worth mentioning here that one extremely upsetting scene from the TV series doesn't actually feature in the book at all. The scene where Frank's sister and her children are gassed for being Jewish. Number 3 is The Two Joes. The character Joe Cinderella in the book is represented by Joe Blake in the TV series. He's a much more likeable and arguably complicated character than the character we're presented in the book. In the book, Joe and Juliana decide to go on a road trip to meet the author of The Grasshopper Lies Heavy. However, Juliana begins to suspect Joe has an ulterior motive when he begins to act violent towards her. She learns he is a Swiss spy sent by the Germans to kill the author. So to save the author, Juliana kills Cinderella and goes to warn him that there may be others out there who will make an attempt on his life. In the TV series, after watching season 3, we now know there are two versions of Joe, the Joe from the book and the Joe from the TV series. In the TV show, these two Joes come together in season 3, and almost like two different universes coming together, their paths unite and their fates become one, in that Juliana kills him the same way she kills him in the book. Number 4 is just your average American Nazi. Reichsmarshal John Smith is a former US Army captain who joined the SS following the surrender of the United States. He quickly rose through the ranks and was assigned to investigate the American resistance in New York. But Reichsmarshal John Smith doesn't actually feature in the book at all. Rufus Sewell, the actor who plays him in the TV series, explained his character's addition in depicting the great majority of Americans who have just normalized to the new regime. In this world, after the Nazis dropped the atomic bomb in Washington, there was a civil war in the United States over whether to keep fighting. John Smith was one of the ones who decided to surrender to the Nazis, making him a hero. Number 5 is I Ching. I Ching is a 5,000-year-old oracle and book of wisdom where someone can ask a question and receive an answer through interpreting the hexagrams generated by the tossing of yarrow sticks and coins. I Ching plays a central role in Philip K. Dick's book. while in the TV series it's barely mentioned at all. Tagomi, the Japanese trade minister, but also Juliana and Frank, use it in the book, and the hexagrams they cast interweave with eerie similarity. Ching pops up a few times in the TV series, but doesn't really interweave itself into the plot. Dick claimed that he used Ching as a creative guide throughout the writing of The Man in the High Castle, to decide the time period, the setting, the characters, and some of the narrative. Interestingly, this is the same claim made by the author of The Grasshopper Lies Heavy in the book, which led many to believe that Dick actually wrote himself into the book as the author of The Grasshopper Lies Heavy. Number 6 is Ed McCarthy is gay. In the novel, Frank works in a factory making replica weapons. This is the same in the book as it is in the TV series. And just like the TV series, in the book, Frank loses his position and blackmails the owner into giving him the startup he needs to start a business with Ed McCarthy making jewelry. While Ed McCarthy also appears in the TV series, he's a much more prevalent character than in the book. Amazon has also decided to flesh him out by making this character gay, allowing the TV show to investigate the persecution of gay, lesbian and bisexual characters. Number 7. Hitler. Hitler isn't seen in the novel, though he's described as enfeebled and suffering from what they call syphilis of the brain. Though Adolf Hitler remains the Führer of the Nazi Empire, the one who controls the Reich is Reichsmarshal Martin Bormann. But in the book, Bormann dies, and this leaves a vacuum of power that starts a political struggle in the Nazi hierarchy. Hitler is alive in the TV show too, although his death is imminent due to failing health. Later in the series, Hitler collapses, goes into a coma and dies. It's later revealed he was actually poisoned by a faction of the Reich that wanted to go to war with Japan, triggering the next World War. Number 8. There is no hero. The series seems to set itself up in its premise as being a hero saves the world type of show, one where the characters will attempt to correct history, or at least that's where it seems to be heading from my perspective. The novel focuses, however, more on the ordinary lives of the 5 characters: Juliana, Frank, Tagomi, Rudolf Wegner and Robert Childen, who are simply just trying to survive under this corrupt system. While the title of hero doesn't seem to fit any of these characters in the book, there are instances within the book that heroism does emerge when they stand up against the system. The book is not about trying to change what happened, it's about asking the question, how would ordinary people live their lives under such a regime? Number 9, there is no necklace. As I've mentioned, in the novel, Frank and Ed McCarthy go into business to make handmade jewellery. In the book, Robert Childen agrees to sell pieces of the couple's jewellery in his store on consignment. Although not confident the jewellery will sell, Childen is surprised when one of his Japanese clients tells him a piece of jewellery has spiritual value. In the novel, however, like with Ching, this spiritual side, almost mystical, isn't explored in the TV series as of yet, and the symbolism of this necklace is also not explored, which is something that is very prevalent in the novel. Number 10 is Nazis in space. Yes, you heard me right, Nazis in space. In the novel, Nazis have perfected the rocket and have colonized the Moon, Venus and Mars, which, if you think about it, is reflective of the Cold War's space race, which was happening during the time that Dick wrote this novel. In the series, however, the Nazis haven't made it into space. They are, however, building a machine that attempts to cross the divide between the separate universes, meaning they could pass into our reality and run a Nazi muck. So, very bad. I think this aspect keeps along the same theme as what Dick intended with the fact that Nazis made it into space, in that it depicts the aggression of the Nazis and their aggressiveness in their domination. When it comes to the Nazis' domination, like space, even alternate realities have nowhere to hide. Overall, the book is a really great read, and it is really complex in terms of its themes. It was reported that Dick actually wanted to write a sequel to The Man in the High Castle, but he was disgusted by the Nazis to such a degree he didn't want to spend so much time thinking about them, With this in mind, he wanted to get a secondary author to help him with this. In this sequel, which inevitably didn't happen, he hinted at time travel being a part of the continued story. Perhaps the Nazis mastered time travel and adjusted the moment in time that caused the Axis powers to lose the war. Just something to think about. So that's it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think in the comments section. Until next time, happy reading, guys.